Have you ever wondered what the world's largest LEGO collection looks like? Well, today we are going to take a look. Back in 2022, I visited Prague, Czech Republic, and I visited one of 5 LEGO museums that is home to the world's largest private LEGO collection. The collection is owned by this man here, and as of June 21st, 2023, he officially has the Guinness World Record for the largest LEGO collection ever at owning over 6,005 LEGO sets. As I mentioned, this is one of 5 locations in the Czech Republic where he stores his private LEGO collection, and they've actually opened it up into a museum for LEGO fans like myself to come see. It is such an amazing time at this museum. You're going to see so many cool things, and that's why I'm very excited to be giving you a full tour of the museum today. Because this is only 1/5 of his collection and I haven't visited the other 4 locations of the museum, that just means I'll probably have to go back to the Czech Republic someday to see the rest of it. But of course, in the meantime, let's take a tour of the Praha LEGO Museum. Right when you walk in the door here, you're greeted by this really cool museum sign and this incredible mosaic all made of LEGO bricks. The first floor here is actually a full LEGO store, which we're going to take a look at in part number 5, and the actual museum is just down the stairs here. The LEGO displays start literally the second you walk in the door, starting with fire trucks ranging from models of the city of Prague itself. They also have real pictures of the city center in Prague, so it's easier for you, the viewers, to see kind of how it actually looks compared to the LEGO model. Moving down the stairs here, you'll be able to see a little bit of the store, as well as the decals that even accompany the stairs. Right off to the side, we've actually got this really cool write-up about the LEGO Museum, and it lets you know that this whole museum and this entire collection is owned by one person. It would be incredible to be able to display your collection like this. I am so jealous. So I easily panned here. If you want to pause it and read it, you can take a look, but it's pretty incredible, this man's story. Now moving off the staircase, you can see one last look of everything before we pan into the first room of the museum, the LEGO City and the Vehicle Room. This room here had a pretty substantially sized LEGO City, mainly comprised of a bunch of older sets, as well as glass display models of LEGO vehicles and a lot of Technic sets around the room. Many of the display cases were combined with a couple different themes like Technic, System, and in this one, Racers. It was really cool because each set here is labeled with the set number as well as all the information that you could really need to know about it. It was so cool to see all these models all built up. There was just such a variety here, and this is just one of many display cases that we're going to be taking a look at. You can see there are a lot of vehicles, lots of planes and boats and trailers. You've seen some of these other ones, like that one on the very far right is an old gift with purchase, which is the hot rod, which is really cool. This is obviously the original model and not the gift with purchase. And then we've got even more vehicles here, and it was just really neat to see all the set names and all the little work that they put into each and every one. I also particularly like looking at this helicopter because I actually have one of these Black Thunder models sealed, and I've been debating on whether or not I want to open it. I also like how there's a variety of other sets included in the display cases as well. It was a really nice mixture of sets from all the years. Now, I'm not going to narrate this entire video because I feel like you guys would just get bored, so I'm just going to talk about the parts that I find particularly interesting and put some music so you can really see the incredible sets and models that this museum has on display. Any LEGO Technic fan would be sure to love this one. It was really cool seeing all of the large cars that LEGO Technic has done over the last few years here, as well as I love this because they had a bunch of the Technic helicopters all suspended above what was a majority of the Technic sets, as well as a really cool scene down below with all the diggers and all the loose LEGO parts. I also thought that this lit up section here was incredibly cool and really added a lot of detail. Here's one last overview of this really cool LEGO Technic section, as well as this really cool front end loader that actually moved and was playing with LEGO bricks. There was also a really cool model here of the Trevi Fountain in Rome, Italy, where people were actually dropping in money to. I'm assuming that maybe some of the donations here were used to fund the museum. Obviously, this is one of the custom builds that was included in the museum here, and it certainly doesn't disappoint. It was truly magnificent to look at. Back in the main room here, taking a look at the LEGO City, I thought it was really cool because they actually had a bunch of different power features and things that you, as the viewer in the museum, could actually control with these light switches. These light switches did anything from controlling lights on the trucks to actually controlling the train driving around the city. As I mentioned, a majority of the city was definitely some older sets. You wouldn't see any modular buildings or anything like that here, but a lot of really cool sets from the early to mid 2000s. A lot of these sets were actually from my childhood, some before and some slightly after, including this train, which is the first LEGO train I ever got. Overall, it was just really cool to see all the diversity and variety of sets included within this LEGO city. Here's another really cool example of the light switches, which actually controlled the helicopter rotor blades. And of course, this was the LEGO set for me that changed the game, the 2008 LEGO City Police Station. Here's a look at me hitting the light switch to make the train go all the way around the LEGO City. It is a rise track obviously, but some places were higher than others, so it was really cool to see it climb. It was also pretty remarkable how quiet this was. Because of the glass case all the way around the city, you could not actually hear the train going, and if you could, it was very, very slightly and didn't pick up here on camera. And here's just one final overview of the entire LEGO city and this massive glass display case. Just when you thought this room was finished, there are actually a ton more display cases around the perimeter of the room that I haven't even shown you yet. This was one of my favorite ones at the back here and contained a lot of really neat LEGO sets. On the top here, there was also a bunch of boxes for some really cool sets, some older and some newer, and I'm not sure if these were sealed or just the empty boxes. Once again, one of my favorite parts of the museum was the fact that every single LEGO set in the glass display cases had a label to tell you exactly which set number it is, and some went so far to say the name and the piece count. It really just helped when I was learning all about these sets. The only thing I wish it also would have had would be the year it was released. They also had this massive LEGO minifigure that you could stand with and get a picture of. And then across from that was this really cool stadium all built out of LEGO. This stadium had a ton of detail to it. There's fans on the inside, fans on the outside, construction, and honestly just so much is going on. My only complaint with the stadium is that it was built so low on the ground. I think it easily could have been raised a little bit and even got a few more display pieces in here. But it was really cool to see the sets that they incorporated in it, the fact that there was also a moving wind turbine, as well as some of the official LEGO stadiums on display as well. I also love that they had a bunch of the planes flying above the stadium. Some of these are really cool planes and ones that I even have in my LEGO collection. One of the sets that I've always wanted to add to my collection was this crane, so it was really cool to see it here and actually see it on a turnstile to make it move. Beside the stadium, they had another really cool little town layout made. This one had a lot more trains and again a bunch of older LEGO sets included. They also had a second layer up there with even more cool sets, and I feel like a lot of these may have been mocks. Here's another look of the massive LEGO minifigure here, as well as the LEGO Museum backdrop, and an overview of the entire room that we have just seen. In the walkway between this room and the next room, they also had this really cool LEGO City advertisement that was actually in multiple different languages. They also had a scavenger hunt game, Let's Play. This one actually was entirely in Czech Republic though, not English. This glass display case had the holy grail of LEGO sets, including the Statue of Liberty and the dragon. And then we've got another room filled with incredible glass display cases full of LEGO sets. I just loved looking at these really old LEGO system sets, including all of the fire sets down here. There was certainly a variety of different eras. This one was even on a motion sensor, so when you got close, the fire engine lights actually lit up. And of course, the sirens as well. This place was truly a LEGO fan's dream, especially if you were a LEGO Trains fan. Honestly, I don't even remember these being official LEGO sets, but they are awesome. In this next glass display case here, there was a mixture of LEGO DC sets, LEGO Indiana Jones, as well as LEGO Ninjago. It took everything in me not to take these sets off the shelves and shake them to see if they were empty. And then of course, another massive case of LEGO Friends set, and surprisingly, there were quite a few females in this museum. It wasn't all just guys. Now just past all of these display cases, we actually go into another hallway full of even more cases. The first really neat thing is this incredible display case full of old LEGO sets, and each one of these would be so expensive. We've got things like the original carousel, the bird set, the Sydney Opera House, and all the modular buildings you can think of. They even had the 50 years of the LEGO brick set, which is one that I seriously regret not getting in 2008. They also had the mini modular set from several years ago now, showcasing some of the original modular buildings. And then they had this shelf of some of the older modular buildings that have been released, you know, the Palace Cinema, the Grand Emporium, as well as the Fire Brigade, the Green Grocer, and the Hotel. These ones have been off the shelves for a really long time now, and like I mentioned, are incredibly pricey. They've also got a lot of pulp culture sets, as well as a bunch of light switches that actually allow these modular buildings to light up and make sounds. They've got a massive display case for the incredible Eiffel Tower set. This is like the LEGO architecture before it became LEGO architecture. It is incredibly large and very, very neat to see. They had history for the Eiffel Tower on the back, and if you listen closely, you can even hear some French music. This display case here honestly might be my holy grail of LEGO sets. It is the LEGO architecture line, which you all know I absolutely love. They had many of these really old architecture sets that are released, you know, before I even got collecting the architecture line. So it was amazing to see all of them here, and I could only wish I could take some of these home with me. I love that they just had so much variety and so many of the older sets here included, as well as some really exclusive ones like the LEGO house and the LEGO store. They also had Old Kirk's house, which is really cool. I don't believe I've ever seen this one in person before, and even more of the Billund exclusive sets down below. This display case was also pretty fun because as I've been touring around Europe recently, I've actually been to a lot of these places in the last few weeks, or I'll be going soon, so it's really neat to see them all here in LEGO form. This display case here had a bunch of the sets that I really wish I would have been able to pick up, including the Lincoln Memorial and the Rockefeller Center, and of course the Flatiron Building and the Empire State Building. Those are ones that I just see and I love, and I'm just so regretful that I don't have those in my collection. In these glass display cases here, they had a whole bunch of incredible castle sets and the kingdom sets. I know many of you would have died to have seen all of these. Also, now you can see the museum really started to pick up. It was actually raining here, so I waited for the crowd to clear out, and then I started filming the contents of these really cool display cases. And then in the corner here, they had this really cool character built of Lego bricks. I believe this is a pretty famous cartoon in the Czech Republic because a lot of the kids seem to love it, and it actually spoke. We also have some history of the LEGO group and the LEGO founder down the hallway, which is really cool, all written there, as well as some history of the LEGO minifigure. We also see some of the important details of the LEGO group, including the first fire, global challenges, and so much more. Moving into this room, this one's almost like a vault. We've got the Taj Mahal here, which is really exciting. Again, a set that I always loved, and we've even got a picture of the real one. And then through this massive vault, which must have just been here and, you know, was too expensive to take out, we've got another room full of LEGO display models. This one here is a lot more LEGO castle sets, as well as a lot of LEGO boats, which I know many of you will be very excited to look like. These are much older LEGO system sets, which was really cool. We've even got some Harry Potter ones, some King of Persia, and so much more. Really cool boxes all up top. Looking at all these models, you can just feel the history and just see how old and unique these sets really are. I especially love looking at those elephants up there. They haven't made those parts in a very long time. Throughout this case here, I recognized a bunch of some of the old castle sets, including that castle down on the right that I actually do have. They've also got another LEGO light switch, and this one actually makes the dragon rotate. I also think this catapult is amazing. And if only I could get into these glass display cases and test out and see if these LEGO ships and some of these pirate sets would float or not. Now here's just a look at the display cases that are on the opposite side of the room. Again, more pirate sets, more boats, and more really cool things to look at. It's pretty remarkable that even though this is a pretty small room, they really made everything fit. So now going back through that hallway that we just came, we're actually going to go left now off the main LEGO City room and take a look at some of the other displays that this LEGO museum has to offer. This room here has some Czech Republic specialty builds, this one being the main strip and some of the buildings you may see. And then we've actually got a whole write-up for the Prague Tower, which is also known as the Powder Tower, which was originally built in 1475 and was used to the entrance of the city and a defense tower. And you guys can just see it's still in the main center and it is incredibly detailed. And then there's also this pretty incredible build of the St. Basil's Cathedral, which was incredibly pretty and lots of really cool colors. There was this really cool glass display case full of LEGO Fabuland sets, which is a cool theme to see. Not many people really have that in their LEGO collection, so it was neat to see all the cool things they came up with, as well as some like Duplo or something like that at the bottom with some LEGO cars. And in this display case here, we've got some LEGO stationery sets, some sets that I haven't really seen before, as well as some LEGO ideas, some hearts, and then some Toy Story sets, which were really exciting to see. Lots of old ones here, definitely from several years ago. This next part of the museum, the lighting gets really bad, but here we've got a model of the Prague National Theater, which is really cool. It is so incredibly detailed and there's lots to see. And then there's also a model of the LEGO Tower Bridge. This obviously was an official set, but it's still really cool. There's a write-up here for the Tower Bridge as well and the history behind it. And then there's a write-up for the Charles Bridge, which is a very famous Prague bridge. And as you can see, they actually had the model here built with hundreds of LEGO minifigures on it, and it was so detailed. This is a huge bridge running through the city and is obviously very important to the Prague history. So it was really neat to see this built out of LEGO. My only regret is I wish the glass didn't have so much glare because of the lighting. And then there was this incredible model of the Prague National Museum, which was actually right near the hotel I was staying at, and this building was absolutely incredible. You can see it took over 120,000 LEGO bricks and is a beautiful model. There's even a mirror behind it so you can see all of the details and everything that's actually included in the museum. It's not just a front facade, there's detail as well. And then in the very back of the museum here, there was this LEGO playroom where we've got kids and adults playing, putting bricks on the wall, and so much more. They also had this really cool display of LEGO butterflies on the ceiling. Back in the far hallway, just as we're about to go up the stairs, they had this really cool glass display case of LEGO minifigures. There were so many minifigures in between these couple doors, and holy crap. They had pretty much every series and pretty much every collectible minifigure you could ever imagine. It was stuffed. It was really hard to see all the figures actually because there were just so many here. I personally especially loved looking at all of the Great Britain and the sports minifigures because I've never really had those in my collection. They even had some gross video ones, ew, and this really cool display of underwater LEGO sets making everything look like, well, underwater. Now going up the stairs, which is a different staircase than the one we originally came down, they've got even more history about the LEGO group, including many of the different logos and history of the brand. Walking up the stairs past the underwater display case, that's where you actually head to the second floor, or really the original first floor of the museum with more cool underwater displays. The first floor is just the store, and then the second floor is the rest of the museum. At the top of the staircase here, you can see that there are a ton of old LEGO sets. Many are not actually brick based and are from the original LEGO line of all the older toys that they used to make, you know, not brick based but plastic, anything with injection molding, and even wooden ones. The history here was pretty crazy because not many people would be able to say they had these sets with so many original boxes and in great condition in their LEGO collection. There's a lot more LEGO history written all over the walls of the staircase, and I would encourage you all to stop and pause for a minute just to read some of the cool facts about the LEGO group and some of the things that you can learn from these museum walls. They've also got a massive display of all the different logos and the history of the logo, including the most recent one that came out in 1998. This is the last thing that we're going to look at before we head up to the space and the Star Wars floor that is on the second floor of the museum. But they've got this really cool display case of a bunch of LEGO Bionicle figures. And I know so many of you absolutely love Bionicle, and this was a really cool way that they were able to display them, just so you can see each figure, individually, as well as some of the old packaging that they came in. As we move up the stairs, it gets a lot darker than it was 2 levels down. You'll notice right in the background of this video there is now LEGO Star Wars music, and that is because this entire floor is space and Star Wars themed. They had everything from the Mars Ranger sets to the LEGO Ideas Apollo 11 spaceship, which is honestly still one of my favorite ones here, in this really cool display case held up by the wires, and then just a million different LEGO Star Wars sets and boxes on display. They had some original lunar lander sets, some original space sets, and they even had some power miner sets. In this section, there was a whole bunch of different LEGO sets coming from several different LEGO themes spanning the last several decades of LEGO's history. Especially looking at some of the older sets, it's really cool to see how they have evolved over the years and, well, showing some of the really cool sets that we haven't seen in a really long time. I know many fans are really jealous of those really cool Blacktron sets, especially all those neon colors, as well as the Life on Mars sets, which is one that I forgot was even a theme. We've also got a very large display case of the LEGO Power Miner set, which was a theme that came out when I was just getting started in collecting LEGO, and I only had a few of them, not nearly this many, so it was really cool to see and kind of reminisce on this theme for sure. And then there was this theme here called Spirus, which is one that I don't even remember LEGO having. Some of these Mars mission sets I remember quite vividly because once again they were released kind of when I was getting into collecting LEGO. I have a few of the smaller ones, but not nearly any of these larger ones. Which honestly, now I kind of regret because some of these sets are really neat looking. Like, they're pretty cool. This was a good theme back in the day. And then we've got some of the Space Police, which is from the first and the second line, I believe, of the LEGO System Space Police line. Including some of the much more recent Space Police sets. And now that we've seen some of the newer LEGO space sets in a couple different sub-themes, I think it's time we get to what you are all waiting for, the classic space section. They had so many display cases here full of these classic space sets, and I don't want to waste any time jumping right into them. Holy crap, this is definitely the holy grail of classic space sets for sure. Starting on the top shelf here, you can just see the many different sets that came from these years, the 1980s and even some before and after. So many sets here, so many classic spacemen. Everything was neat because it really varied in condition, just because these sets were definitely well loved and well played with. Some of them had the boxes, some of them didn't, and it was just really cool to see some of the different themes and stuff like that. LEGO Systems, of course LEGO Land, it had the original base plate, and it even had the monorail, which would have been really cool if it would have been set up. And I recognize some of these from my dad's childhood. On one of the shelves, we do actually have some of the LEGO Agent sets as well, which is another really great theme that I thought they had done up very nicely. And then right below that, of course, more classic space sets. I'm recognizing a few of these ones from recent hauls and stuff like that I've done. I'm lucky to own some of these sets, which is really, really cool. And then, of course, they've got a few more LEGO Agent sets. And then we actually move down into the LEGO Star Wars section. So obviously the very first one here, the original Cloud City, which is worth thousands of dollars now. And then of course a large model of the Millennium Falcon, as well as a bunch of other large LEGO Star Wars models, including that Death Star. I've already shown you the massive collection of LEGO Star Wars boxes that they had, so here's a better look at some of the Star Wars sets. Now you guys know I'm not a huge LEGO Star Wars fan, so I don't know a lot about the sets here, but I can just tell by looking at it, these are Star Wars sets from several different eras of the LEGO Star Wars, spanning the 20+ year history of LEGO Star Wars with the LEGO Group. One of my favorite display cases to look at was this massive one in the center of the room that really contained a bunch of the larger Star Wars sets, including a bunch of things hanging from the ceilings. They had a few scenes set up as well, which was really cool, and it was directly across from the other case of Star Wars sets and the space sets. You can see what it looks like from the other side. It was neat that they actually had part of it jetting out, so you could really see the Imperial Star Destroyer. And of course, just another look at the Cloud City, because that set is so incredible. It was truly neat to see the variety of Star Wars sets they had here, because like I said, they had anything from some of the newer, more recent releases to some of the very old sets, and you know, were one of the LEGO's first releases of the Star Wars line. Even though I'm not a LEGO Star Wars fan, I could see in some of these Star Wars sets and just know that the value on them was pretty remarkable. Many of my viewers who are LEGO Star Wars fans I know would have had such an incredible time here, just looking at each and every one of these sets and really marveling in how cool they were, because they had a really great history here and a lot of variety. And like I shared with you guys earlier, I thought it was really cool that they had a bunch of the Star Wars ships hanging from the ceiling on the fishing line. It looked really awesome, and you could just see like the X-Wings flying and everything like that above the scene. It made it look a lot more realistic for sure. It was neat because they had the old LEGO Death Star here, which was really cool, on a turnstile, so it actually turned around with a motor so you could see all the parts on the inside. They had several layers of LEGO Star Wars ships, and the glass was all held up by brick-built things, whether they looked like rocks or anything at all. It was pretty neat. And then again, more things hanging directly from the ceiling. I'm making sure I'm continuing to pan and show you a lot of these Star Wars scenes because there's not much I can talk about, but I know many of you are going to be really excited to see these. And then I just wanted to show you this last Star Wars case that was in the other room, once again just full of a variety of LEGO Star Wars sets from the last several eras. Alright guys, and this actually brings us to the end of the complete tour of the LEGO Prague Museum. I hope you guys really enjoyed coming along with me for this incredible journey. You guys can see this video is over 27 minutes long now, and it just goes to show how much LEGO was actually in this location and in this museum. And guys, it was just so incredible. I definitely recommend, you go check it out. You watch this video now, but of course, seeing this in person is nothing like seeing it here on video, and I was just blown away by everything I got to see, and I truly feel so lucky to have had the opportunity to go, and I definitely hope to come back in a future year or something like that. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please don't forget to leave a like, comment, and of course subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you here in the next video.